And The Flash 784 and 785 is written by Jeremy Adams with art by Amanke Nahubin, colors by Jeremy Cox, and letters by Rob Lee. And these two issues continue the search for Barry Allen, as both Jesse Quick and Max Mercury have landed on the Mad Max Flash world, as they assist Barry in fending off a horde of marauders as they quickly discover this is the wrong Earth. We then catch back up with Jay and Irie as they become acquainted with a pseudo-Flash Batman hybrid called Night Flash, who believes them to be henchmen of someone called Knives, as the two narrowly escape with Irie having lost their transportation device before being called over by someone who helps them hide. Wally and Wallace, on the other hand, are on a Silver Age type Earth, with them deciding that Wally will go talk to Barry, and Wallace with the other Wally. However, when Wally confronts Barry, we discover that Barry instead sees Wally as the Reverse Flash, with Barry relentlessly striking Wally. Wallace, in the meantime, follows the other Wally back to his house, who comes out to greet his nephew, when Wallace discovers he's in his Silver Kid Flash costume. It's then that upon going inside, he sits down to a dinner where everything is perfect. This takes us into issue 785 with Linda demanding that Mr. Terrific allow her to go after Wally and her kids. Jay and Irie, in the meantime, speak with the kid that helped them, who informs them of the history of the Night Flash and how he terrorizes people. Jay and Irie decide they want to help, and the boy says he knows where to find him. We then cut back to Jesse and Max, where Barry tells them that the Marauders are after a pearl, which is the last bit of the world's magic. Jesse and Max decide to run defense for Barry, when we return to Wally being pummeled, along with Wallace preparing to open a door to see his father. It's then that Linda comes through and punches Barry, which, after a few moments, clears his head as he remembers what happened with the Justice League and Pariah. He then concludes that the Justice League are not dead and he will hunt for them, while Wally protects the Earth. Wally and Linda's kids, in the meantime, are facing off against Night Flash, when it's revealed that the boy who helped the kids is a criminal by the name of Knives Maroney. However, before the two can clash, Jay Garrick shows up mistaking Night Flash as the villain, but Jay and Irie stop him as Knives manages to flee and discovers the bracelet Irie had dropped, a bracelet that will take him to another world. The kids and Jay Garrick bid Night Flash a farewell as we return to Jesse and Max, who easily keep the Marauders busy as Barry heads to the top of the spiral and destroys the pearl, which releases a giant beam into the sky. We then return to Wallace, who snaps out of the illusion, discovering it's all a ploy as Barry and Wally appear. They then race off with the entire Flash family converging and running into the portal, with Barry going off in a separate direction to begin his search for the Justice League, and everyone else returning to their Earth. The story ends with Wally proclaiming that until Barry returns with the Justice League, that it's up to them to save the world. So now that I've had a chance to read the story in full context, I could say it's not bad. The book definitely has its positives and a few things going for it. Like, one thing that I liked over the course of particularly these last two issues were the different Earths that we were introduced to. Like, we had the Earth with Mad Max Barry Allen, we had another cross combo Batman Flash type in the character Night Flash, to which I will say that is actually a really interesting concept, and for some reason in my head I was thinking to myself, I would love to see the Red Death and Night Flash clash. That's right, Clash of the Night Flash. And I'm also glad he doesn't have light-based powers, otherwise he'd be the Night Flasher. And then of course there's the world that the real Barry Allen is on, which is kind of this makes your dreams come true sort of deal, but also reminds me a bit of the movie Coraline. Like, everything's all cool at first, but the minute you start to kind of reject this reality, everyone turns kind of like creepy. I mean, instead of buttons for eyes, like all of the characters that Wallace was around, like you just like little black holes in their head. It's kind of creepy, actually. I also think the book does character interactions pretty well. I like the interaction specifically between Linda and Wally, primarily in issue 785, where she pinches his butt just before they go through the portal, which I'm not sure, but could be a callback to the Flash issue 92, in which in that particular book, Wally is saying to Linda that, oh, I thought you only loved me because of my butt. And she's like, oh, yeah, there's that too. And then just other small moments sprinkled throughout, like say when Jay Garrick finds Irie and Jay, and Irie calls him Poppy. It's like, oh, that's cute. She got a little nickname for Jay Garrick. I mean, that's basically her grandpa. And the scene where Mad Max Barry had, crushed the pearl, and now he's basically falling to his death, and Max Mercury just runs up, catches him, is like, what, you think we'd forget about you? It's a nice sentiment. It's like, it may not be there, Barry Allen, but Barry Allen's a hero in every universe. And when it comes to Barry Allen, particularly the real Barry Allen, I couldn't help but thinking, like, man, I'd like to feel bad for this guy, because I'm reading this story where he's supposed to effectively be living his best life. He's got his wife, he's got his kids, he's got Wally. And it made me wish this was an arc that was maybe a few issues longer, or had focused primarily on this aspect of the story. Because I honestly would have liked to have seen a story where Barry was, grappling with this push and pull between what's real and what's not, and then where he ultimately relinquishes his happiness in order to return to reality. And this was the story that I was like, really latching on to and whatnot, but ultimately the constant shift back and forth between the different worlds and perspectives, was kind of pulling me out of the story. And in a lot of instances, I felt like the cast overall was too big for this kind of story. Because as interesting as the Mad Max section was, with Jesse Quick and Max Mercury, it did also kind of read like it was there to just sort of pad out the length of the book, because ultimately it doesn't progress the story any. And then Jay and Irie's adventure was kind of similar, with the only difference is that was at least used to set up the story of maybe Knives Maroney going to their Earth. But yeah, I do think that Wally and Wallace's section had enough meat to carry the whole story and had a lot of potential for exploration. And now that I think about it, when it comes to the Mad Max section, when Barry told Jesse and Max about the Pearl, I thought to myself, okay, he's gonna tell them where to take it, and they're gonna run it up the spiral and smash it. But Jesse and Max just, again, run defense for Barry, and I'm like, wait, but Jesse and Max, they have their speed. This Barry doesn't, so they could accomplish the objective, a lot faster. I mean, it did work out, but at the same time, I just couldn't help but keep that in my brain. When it comes to the character Knives Maroney, I was kind of disappointed that he tipped his hat so soon and revealed that he was the bad guy, because I would have thought, a more interesting take would have been for him to sort of like hang in the background and, escape with Irie's wristband or whatever, and then, keep it sort of on a level where Irie and Jay don't know that he's a bad guy. That way, when they meet up in their world, there's a potential for, like, manipulation. It's more of a minor nitpick than anything else, but it does leave a lot to be desired, I think. When it comes to the art, I'm pretty happy with it. There were some instances where I thought, okay, was that a personal choice, or what's going on? Primarily, again, when it comes to that character, Knives Maroney, where his face was like, just crazy stretched. The proportions looked off. Like in a panel, it looked like he had this just incredibly large head, and his mouth was just like really wide. And I kept thinking to myself, is he supposed to look like that, or is he supposed to just look like a kid? And then I was kind of wondering about Night Flash's design a little bit, because they're clearly going for like a cross between, the Flash and Batman. And in 784, one panel looked like that the mouthpiece was just a regular skin tone, much like, more, common Batman sort of look. But then in 785, his face is like full on red. But otherwise, I'm satisfied with the artwork. Like the colors and the action sequences were all on point. The Dream World section with Barry had this very, classic look. It was very saturated, had halftone dots. And then overall, my favorite page has got to be the one where Barry is just pummeling Wally and Wallace is just slowly slipping into this illusion. It has a great flow and energy. Each panel draws my eyes appropriately, so I never feel lost, which envelops me in the emotion of the moment. And in the end, this Dark Crisis tie-in had minimal time to do its job, and in that, I think it did it effectively enough. I mean, it succeeds in some areas and fails in others. Its quick pacing was both a detriment to the story, but also, again, moved quick enough to where I didn't have to linger in one area too long. So nothing, really sat with me one way or another until after I was done reading it. And with good art, setup of things to come, and the story's overall happy ending, I was left satisfied. And with that, I'm going to give The Flash issue 784 and 785 the combined score of 7.5 out of 10. So The Flash issue 784 and 785, what did you think about these books? If you read them, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Please leave your comments in the comment section below. And if you liked this video, I'd love it if you'd smash that like button, share it with some friends, subscribe if you're not subscribed already, and ring that notification bell for more comic book content. And if you're wondering what to watch next, consider one of these two videos. Alright, take care, have a great day, and as always, stay geeky.